Oh, come on, let's go home.
Good. All right, welcome everybody to the September 18th Fisp meeting. Alpens of Brave Hall and is he downstairs?
At a meeting.
Okay, who else is missing? That's it, right?
I think so.
Okay,
Is Anita coming back?
she's right there.
I'm sorry.
No one tells Phil anything, no one tells Phil anything.
Hack's Big Head was in there.
Down this end.
Who's Colliers?
That's a good one.
I was dead serious.
Approval of minutes, August 8th, 2018, September 5th, 2018.
Can we do one at a time, please?
Sure, so, I'm sorry, August 8th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
September 5th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, senior center, Tony, you're up.
Senior Center building is moving along well. We've restarted site work a couple weeks ago, connecting sewer lines, excavating for sewer line out to Horseshoe Drive. We've got a trench cut in from Prescott Street coming through the ball field. That was dug the other day, is unfortunately half filled up with water today, but when it drains out, we'll be able to continue on with water and gas trenches. Site work for the drainage and the basins and the berms has been ongoing the past couple weeks, so we did hit a little bit more ledge heading out the back to Horseshoe Drive for the sewer connection. We anticipated there's some ledge out there, so we're hitting a little bit more ledge there. We're stockpiling it and quantifying it on site, but nothing that we shouldn't be out of very quickly and moving forward. The building is moving along well. All of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing trades are working on the rough wiring, rough plumbing, hanging ductwork. Sheet rock is going in behind electrical and mechanical where you wouldn't be able to get at it later. Issues that need to be fire taped, areas that need to be sealed so that the ductwork and the other equipment can go up in front of it. Is ongoing. Mechanical equipment was loaded up into the mechanical mezzanine so that the louver could go on the outside of the building. The outside of the building is largely weather tight. Windows are in place, roof is on, flashings are installed around the building. Gutters and downspouts don't need to go on as of yet, and they'll go on when we start the siding and those types of activities. Siding, you should start to see siding going on in the next week or two. Colors have all been selected, materials have all been ordered. Interior colors have all been selected, and finishes have all been ordered. So now it's going to look like it's going a little slow right now, but everybody's working inside. We're probably averaging about 30 workers a day on site. There's wiring and everything. There's some photographs in the back of your monthly report. We've had mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers conduct field reports in addition to the normal clerk of the works field reports that we do. There's also structural engineers report. They come out before we start closing up walls and burying stuff and do their reports so that you are getting the appropriate oversight. From a long-range standpoint, Lisa and I are meeting currently over the next couple weeks with furniture vendors to start soliciting for furniture, getting furniture proposals in. I do have some furniture pieces that I will be working with Anita over the next few weeks to figure out how we procure and obtain the pool tables, light fixtures, some of those miscellaneous furnishings that wouldn't come from your typical furniture dealers. So we'll be taking care of those items. Other than that, long-term schedule, we're looking for end of February, so we're still running about 3 weeks behind our proposed schedule from when we started. So the building right now is targeting completion for end of February, not end of January.
Is that substantial completion or?
That's final completion.
Is there a contractual obligation for final completion?
There is,
When is it?
and I believe it's the 17th of January, something to that effect.
And, yeah, they're gonna say,
They're hoping to move forward and get it done on time, but right now the schedule is not looking that way.
and there's damages that they get hit with?
There are liquidated damages in the contract. Where we received their new schedule when the site work crew started. Some of that is based on water line, fire protection, can't move in without those certain life safety things. If we're able to get those utilities in on time, completing the inside of the building is not, it's on the critical path, but it's not behind on the critical path. And getting the fire protection building in place, set up, running, and tested is really what's pushing things further down the road.
When you say there's damages, can they, I mean, not that we're gonna worry about this, or this is gonna be what we're gonna wait for, but can they say that because of issues we had with the soil and things like that, that
Oh,
were
they would
unforeseen?
absolutely say that.
And that's
Yeah.
why we would have been on track if it was,
Yeah.
here's the contract and this was
That's exactly the game that will be played
Okay.
But they
probably
haven't,
in December.
but they haven't issued any claims for
They have not.
time.
Nope.
So they can come in and say, we want to do a change order to, a change order, but a no dollar change order to the contract that says, due to these change orders which made us put extra pipes here and due to the extra ledge,
Yep. Right.
And,
That we,
and that's something we anticipate happening.
the extra soil conditions, the extra ledge, the hazardous soil conditions, they could say, that's 30 days. You give us a zero penalty change order for 30 days, everybody's happy.
But that's negotiable if that comes up.
Correct.
Okay.
Right now, they're not asking for
That's fine.
either. They've simply given us a schedule that says, right now, we're tracking final completion, turning the building over for your use end of February, and we're trying to make up some time.
Yep, that's fine.
Budget-wise, we're on track right now. Your budget report is reflecting if we completed the job today, you would be looking at a positive variance of about $140,000 that we don't have earmarked for anything. And that's inclusive of the items in the change order log that we don't have as approved yet, but we have them as pending. Some, the ledge that I just spoke about, drainage modifications, we've got some minor changes that have been coming up as we work on finishes in the building. An extra marker board, tack board, can we move marker boards and tack boards? Can we change some of the millwork to open shelving from cabinets? There's a handful of items. On your change contingency report, identified in the blue items down at the bottom of the list, so you can see the types of issues that are there. If we were to approve all those, spend all that money out, you'd have $140,000 left today. And then, as I said, I included in this report copies of the structural engineer, mechanical engineers, structural engineers reports, and some photographs of the types of items that were being identified in the reports. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tony. John's not here, so we have no architectural report. Review of planning board remarks. I asked Anita to put this on the agenda because I heard some remarks from Mr. Rucho. Well, he was at the meeting on last Wednesday. So I think this should be made public and see what exactly what we're talking about here.
I mean, we have the video here. I mean, the volume's not probably good enough that we're all gonna be able to hear it off the computer, but, I mean, I see Vinnie's here, so I mean, I can only say some of the issues were Tony not getting the monthly updates. The statement was, we haven't gotten one since the beginning of the summer. So, and I came down to the meeting and I said, if we've known this, I would have looked into it. I mean, but I think Tony has looked into it, and I don't know if you want him to.
Tony, want to just answer that?
I have. The project was moving forward. There was no site work activity during, when you say the beginning of summer, I'm guessing July and August. There was reports issued in June. I went back and looked. They were copied when they went out electronically to Melanie and the planning board members. We then shut down site work. During the shutdown of site work was shut down largely because we had a lot of changes being requested from the utility, the water line, sewer line work, all of which necessitated going back to planning board. So while the job site was not actively working site work, and there was no report to the planning board as part of this monthly report, the project team, your designer, the site engineer, and myself were in front of the planning board twice to get the approval for those changes. So the site design changes went before planning board, we got those approved. We then went back to the contractor with requests for proposals. Those proposals came in, we negotiated them, and we restarted site work in August, right after Labor Day. So this is the first report that you have in front of you. It was issued last week, and I received an email from Vinnie that he received it, and they're all set.
Yeah, so like I say, when I was at the meeting, I asked, did the beginning of the summer mean May, June? They didn't know the answer that day, but you're saying the last one was June.
I think the last one they got was June. July, we shut down.
And then, but plus you were at the meeting.
We had two meetings,
Two
I think
meetings.
the end of July and early August, to go before them for site plan modifications.
Some board members did say, well, they were in front of us a couple times, so, I mean, that was.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last notice we got was in May, the last report came through in May. It was sent out to the planning board's email. There was only one when the work was being done. And I guess the question was, you say that the work stopped. There was no notification sent to the planning board that work was stopped. The applicant, or actually the town, was in front of the planning board. I think it was on the June meeting that you came in for the changes to the plans. And so it was a couple of months of what was downtime, I guess. We just never got any response. And I've gotten a couple of things from Tony in response to my inquiries and the emails. And it's taken me a couple of times. He's done it twice, and I went and looked back in my records. And what he said was he's been directed by Fisp to send things the way it was sent, even though I think he understands that what we're looking for is this summary of the site plan work, just sent monthly to the planning board's email. It's a single email, it's a click of the button, and that allows the planning board to monitor the construction. Because right now, the planning board has 11 active construction sites. So we don't really monitor any of them we're not monitoring this one because it's not being done by the town, but we actually have a professional engineer out there monitoring the construction for us. So we have all this stuff going on. When we did the approval, one of the items in the approval that was approved by, I think it was Fisp, it stated that monthly reports were going to be submitted to the planning board. It's a simple one-line item, and it's a simple click of the email to send it to us. But what I'm getting from Tony's reports is that for some reason the Fisp board doesn't want him to make that happen. And I guess that's my question, that's why I'm here.
I thought you said we said that you should send monthly reports to the planning board.
The planning board said that. I got an email, actually I got one, I think it was during the police station construction, and then I just got one, I think it was this Thursday, saying that he's been directed by Fisp to do it this way, which is not what has been asked to send it to the,
I mean, I
I'm
personally don't.
confused.
Yeah.
I don't understand, because I don't, go ahead, Tony.
So when this came up, and Vinnie's right, there were earlier emails, and I don't know the dates of them, when I raised this to the Fisp, and what we agreed, what you agreed and directed me to do was add this section to the executive summary that deals with the planning board issues, those issues revolving around the site, and I label those as planning board. Planning board, for a couple of reports, received the whole package. They didn't want to receive the whole package, and you said, just send them the 2-page
Right.
executive summary. And this is what I
But didn't
had been sending and will be
Isn't
sending.
that what you just asked for, the executive summary?
all we want to know is we're involved in site plan review. And as far as what's going on in the building, we don't need any of that. All we're looking for, he did it in the first one, I think it was in April, where he just did a nice summary. This is what's going on, this is the status, boom, it was done. And I think I replied to that one as well. 'Cause I think every time I've gotten one, I sent her a response back saying, thank you, this is just what we're looking for. So, yeah, I thought I was trying to make it easy to understand so the cooperation and coordination was gonna be simple. And then there was a time when they didn't show, and then the question came up, there was another item discussed at our meeting on Wednesday night, and this notification just came up as kind of a secondary issue. And I didn't know the job was stopped. I'm not watching this job, not paying any attention. The only time I've been out there is when I get calls from abutters with issues, but I think those have all been addressed and things have been working well since the initial problems.
So would a negative report, if there, on any given month, would it be helpful? I think what I'm hearing is you didn't know what was going on. Nothing to report,
That's it, that's a report.
so just if this, I think that'll solve the issue.
Because we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, if this-
All we want to do is watch what's going on
Okay.
peripherally. We don't want to jump in the middle. I don't want to get into any of the site issues. I want to just see that somebody is covering it for the town.
Well, I just add to that, I mean, we're saying you. He's here. I mean, this, I was at the last meeting, the planning board didn't say, come and ask what we want. You're saying you, but you mean.
mean the planning
board. Because at the meeting, some of the board members go, I don't know if I'm getting the report. Some others said, well, I know I saw a report a few months ago. But I mean, yeah, I know, and generally what
By
you
you,
said-
yes, I meant the planning board, I meant, you're representing the planning board here, so.
Yep, and I'm not even the chair anymore, too. That's, we got Paul Anderson.
What struck me about watching the video of the meeting was all the sort of ancillary issues that came up that had nothing to do with the planning board. And enclosed in those issues were sort of hints and innuendos about it wasn't being watched properly, gossip from town hall. I found that very distressing. There are many of us who put a lot of hours. We have a construction meeting every week on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. The planning board is more than welcome to come to that meeting. We are conducting oversight, as we did with the police station, in a most responsible way. And for these kinds of things to be brought up at a public meeting that was televised, I thought was completely irresponsible. And I want to go on record as having said that.
I appreciate the honesty. I think the reason it was brought up was because we have a record of issues with the building inspector's enforcement. What was actually being discussed was that we heard, again, that was gossip, we heard that the Fisp asked to have Bentley Hurd, the prior building inspector, continue to do the inspections on this site. The planning board was concerned with that because in our experience with this building, that building inspector, there have been times when things have fallen through the cracks. And I can review the 6 items that we have if you want to make it all public. But those were the concerns we've had, as well as I've talked to members of the ZBA who've had concerns with the enforcement of certain things at 92 North Main Street.
Yeah, but we're not talking about anything, except we're talking about this building a senior center.
We're talking about who's going to do the inspections of the rest of the work now that Bentley has resigned or has moved on. The thing that came up was we wanted to have someone else do it instead of having Mr. Hergert come back and do it. And what, after the meeting, what I guess I was told from Mr. Ruccio, is that he's not on the payroll anymore at all anyway.
I don't
So-
believe Bentley's doing them, has
Rich Bagley.
So
Greg-
then, that's
Greg
what the
is
planning
doing
board
the
was asking
inspecting.
for. The planning board was asking for a new set of eyes, just to protect the town, to see what's going on, to make sure everything's.
Okay, I just wanted you to understand, it was by myself watching the video, it was like, we did something under the table, or, trying to do a backroom deal, having somebody else inspect it, and that's absolutely not what happened.
I don't know that we said that, I think.
That's the way it came in public, that's the way it looks on the video.
Well, I apologize for that. I think what we were trying to do is to protect the town so that we don't have to pay for something in the future if for some reason something isn't done correctly.
Well, just so everybody's aware, this is a contracted build, so the builder is aware of it, we have an engineer who's on site a lot, and we have a project manager. So we have 3 sets of eyes on this building for the town. Plus the
In
building
addition to the
inspector.
construction committee.
all the committees.
Plus the committees that go there. So there's, this building is reviewed more than any construction site in town.
Well, I think what I was looking for is you have a building inspector in town who's got significant experience and they are certified and licensed for these inspections. I appreciate that everyone here, I mean, I could go to the site and look at it and not know what I'm really even looking at. But you have someone who's a licensed building inspector out there, they're gonna pick up a lot more things than what most, maybe not Tony, but most of the rest of us are gonna see.
But that's what Tony's job is, he's a project manager.
But he can't see everything. And if you have, we have the building inspector out there, he's required by law to be doing an inspection, isn't he?
When-
So that's why I was.
But he can't see everything too, he comes at certain stages, correct, Tony?
Correct.
Right.
He
and
comes
has
at
to
certain,
sign
I
off
think
on
Tony
certain
sees,
stages.
my guess is you see
More
a
than-
lot more
Absolutely.
than he will see. Because you're
I
at the
see
site,
things in a different light than he sees them.
Yep.
But that's why
there
under,
are rules.
But everything has been inspected, and every inspection they've ever required has been done in the inspection, and there's a record of every inspection that was ever required or asked for.
I would expect nothing else, that's appropriate.
And it's not the Fisp's fault that there's an interregnum in the building inspector's office. I mean, this changeover here is causing the problem, not our ability and willingness and continued observance of inspection schedules.
Did you have anything else you want to say about that?
Not in this,
Okay.
I can go on to the next thing that, this is even something that I've been hearing, and I want to clarify it too. It was said, and I put it in quotes, I've heard from the fire chief that there's questions. Sprinkler issues, piping, so on. I mean, I've heard this, again, it's rumor, it's all rumor. I'd ask Tony, is there issues, I want it publicly known, is there issues with the fire chief on this building that are not resolved?
there was one issue raised this past Thursday where the fire chief is questioning some blocking up in the trusses where you have a dry system in the unheated space up above the great room. There's some blocking in there, bridging between the trusses that would possibly interfere with those heads if they went off. That issue has been photographed. It has been sent to the fire protection engineer and the fire protection contractor for clarification. The chief had 2 other concerns on his walkthrough of 2 weeks ago, both of which have been resolved.
Okay, so
Both of which were resolved within a week of his walking the site with me, which is what I ask any officials of the town to do. If they're making arbitrary inspections, if they're coming to do an inspection, and they want to call, I'm happy to walk around with them. If they walk around unannounced, which again, they're more than welcome to walk around whenever they want. They don't need a scheduled appointment, but if they stop in and walk around with either Mark or myself, we're able to document their concerns when they're there. We're able to more quickly expedite resolution and answer to it, as opposed to having them come back a week later and I get hearsay back through somebody who talked to somebody that there
Correct.
might be an issue with the fire protection.
so
The chief walked around with me that day. The 2 issues he had were resolved within a week, and he raised another one this week. And we'll have that resolved probably on Thursday's meeting this week.
And he sent a letter to you saying that he was happy with the other 2 issues. I saw
Both
that- I
issues
saw an
were
email.
reviewed
I
on
saw that.
site, and he sent an email corresponding that he was all set, go ahead, close up the work.
Yeah, I just want everybody, because the word, the word's getting around. This committee has no problem, I'm sure Tony has no problem, with the fire chief going into this building. He can call Tony, he can walk through any issues he has. We all, as Vinnie said, I want to make sure what's best for the town. That's what we're all here for. We don't want to build a building that there's going to be an issue. We want to try to build a building with no issues. So if the fire chief has any concerns, he brought it up to John and I, and it's just, I think it needs to just be,
I have requirements from the state to walk the site within 24 hours of the rain event, which just happened, earlier today. I'll be walking the site tomorrow. All the cards are signed, all the reports are filled in, all the hay bales and silt fence will be inspected. There's inspections that happen every day, and somebody can get a log of any or all of them as you see fit.
so yeah, so there were statements made, I just made Joe jot it down. We've heard that there are issues, things like that I suggested after the meeting to the chairman, and Anita can too. I said, and it's up to him, he's the chairman. Possibly those issues can be like we do, future agenda items. Then they can get facts.
Right.
And maybe the next meeting they'll go, boy, everything I heard about a certain thing is resolved, we'll pass over it. Instead of going, it was a good 25 minutes, 20 minutes of, most of the discussion was sending a letter for the planning board to tell the Fisp who they think should be the building inspector on the problem. That was a lot, but then it was constant for an hour 40 to almost 2 hours. So 20-something minutes of the things I think Phil heard too, so. And then Raj was there, he's on the planning board, so.
Wait.
I guess, we're in a public meeting here. I would just ask that any inspector in town, plumbing, gas, electric, any of them that want to come to the site or are at the site conducting a site inspection should either be contacting Mark or myself to walk around when they have issues, or if they want to walk around by themselves and come to the trailer afterwards, that would be the appropriate means of letting us know there's a concern so that we can address it with the engineering professional that designed the building, get the question resolved through the architect. What I would hate to see is some issue be raised by an inspector, authority having jurisdiction, and it come back through a planning board meeting that might not happen 2 weeks later, and then this meeting that happens a week after that, and it's 3 weeks and we don't know there's an issue out there. That's not in anybody's best interest.
I was at the meeting, so I said, and I can understand, Vinnie, we don't have time to tell everything. I said, if I'd known this as one member, I'm sure if you have, if Pat, Raj is at the meetings, if we known things weren't getting done, I would have gladly sent Tony an email in May or June. But the only time it came up is that people that watched the meeting saw, it came up that night. It was an issue.
Right.
Yeah, the thing is, I go to every meetings. I go to the Fisp, I go to the subcommittee meetings. So I'm not looking for any updates when it comes to the planning board, right?
Not looking for what?
I'm not looking for any update on the senior center because I do know what's going on there. But other members, I haven't seen that email, like the monthly updates. I haven't seen it too in the planning board. So I'm not worried because I know what's going on there. So that's why I did not raise any questions on that. Anyway, through the chair, I have a question for town administrator. Is Bentley still on payroll or he is not?
He is not actively doing any inspections at this point.
My question is, he is still on payroll? He is still an employee of the town, right?
No.
Technically is still an appointed person. He has not been removed, but he is not being called to do any inspections.
Okay, thank you.
He only gets paid if he did an inspection.
I know, but I heard differently, that's why I asked.
I think we approved him as an assistant.
Yes,
Right, but-
that's my understanding.
But he did
He's in-
he did an inspection, then he said it was too far, there was too much money.
That's my
So he's not
understanding.
officially off, but as Anita said, he's,
Yeah.
but I just, I'm
Just a
sorry.
point of order, I just heard some of your members saying, I heard this and I heard that, so I think it's a common consideration. So the planning board, when we had our discussion, if you had answers while you were there, I would have appreciated you guys coming out and saying, well, we know Mr. Hurt's not gonna do it, we're gonna have whoever is the building inspector. It would have answered the question, and everything would have been done. Because the only thing the planning board wanted to do was recommend you people on the Fisp to consider having that second set of eyes. And it sounds like you guys already have that covered, and it was something you were already doing. So it would have been a lot easier than getting everybody's hair raised up, just to say, well, he's not doing it, we're all set. And then discussion would have ended.
Yeah, I wasn't, at that point, I think Raj was talking about who was doing it, so.
No, that
I was-
time, no, I did not say anything about Bentley at all. Bentley will be inspecting or anything. I said, for this project, we have an OPM, he does oversees this, and we do have the FISP committee. I did say all of those things, yes. But I don't know who is going to inspect, and that part I didn't get to that.
And I think
And again, and also, the planning board, they just suggested, can the FISP consider the inspection with any other inspector rather than Bentley? That's what it suggested.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know,
but
I haven't
the
seen the letter, I don't know if
The
it is,
FISP can.
I don't know if she's
The
got the
FISP
letter.
and the Board of Selectmen
You
can
don't
say
have a
no.
letter. You don't have a letter. Yeah, I just think maybe if I point at the town administrator and I say I heard, the things that were mentioned a few times, and I wrote it down, is rumor. And I think the chairman took my advice, that maybe you take that as a future agenda item. First of all, it'll cut your meeting down probably 25 minutes to a half an hour.
That sounds great. That
mean-
recommendation made perfect sense.
And then,
That was good.
because I have other notes of other issues that the Board of Selectmen are involved with, that they said we heard rumor of this and that. I just don't, we're all on TV, we want the public to know the facts. So if we say something like we heard a rumor, all that's doing is taking the item that's not a fact, and now a board saying it, now, oh, maybe it is true. So, I think,
Yeah, I think we all could work on it, we definitely could.
yeah, so I think the chairman, may do that, but I think that's all we have in regards to
Anybody
our
else?
issues.
Thank you. All right, approval of plaque. Did we get the right one?
First, John McMillan, yep.
Thank you. It's in the,
It's in the
it's in
agenda.
here.
It's in the agenda one.
Does anybody have any,
Are we gonna list the council on aging board? It says council on aging
That's all
board.
they said.
they didn't want to be listed? Right? Right? That was it?
That's what Lisa said.
That's
We
what-
had Lisa on there, and Lisa said,
Yeah.
just put council on
Yeah,
aging
that's
board.
what she said. She didn't want to be listed.
That's a little weird.
I'm
But
just telling
that's,
you.
that's the way
That's
they
what they
wanted
asked
it,
for.
so.
Did we clarify that that's literally all she wanted, not the names?
How many times we had this discussion? We've had
Yes.
this discussion 4 or 5
Okay.
times.
That's what.
Okay. I don't have any issue with that, it's just,
Then we can move.
So is it the committee as of when the sign's made, or the committee when? I don't know.
You can get in, past committee members, former members,
I'm just looking at the facility
future
committee.
members.
This is
I don't
currently
know.
past and present combination.
Well, it's not.
I think when
It's
we
not really
start-
past,
Kate
because
Ivers
if
is
it
no
was
longer-
past, it would be.
These are all the members when the senior center project, we started discussing.
Well, I'm not sure if all these members were on here when we started discussing it.
Who is not there?
Double check membership.
Yeah,
That was quite
they
a
all
while
did.
ago. But for example, obviously Bob Chisholm and Kate Ivers are no longer members of the committee.
He was there. He
So the
was,
question is-
he did
yes,
involved, he
was,
did involved
but
in the
The question
senior.
is, was this current members or was this past? It's a combination of past and present.
Right. I don't, yeah.
No, what I try to say is, these are all the members. When we started discussing the senior center, these are all the members, they participated.
Yeah, I have no problem with this list.
Yeah, I just asked how
You're
how
right.
it works.
It is.
Because I'm not sure if at the beginning of all of this, if Kate was a member of the committee. She might have came in after we
She was.
did
she
the,
she was on during
She
the police
came
station
in
too.
towards the
it
end
was
of
on
the.
at the end of, please?
Towards the end
Yeah,
of
that's
the-
fine, I just didn't know how it,
Is everything spelled right?
think that's been checked to death, I hope.
Do you think, can I just suggest, Council on Aging, it looks so small. I don't know if that's the actual size. Should it looks out of balance.
Can they make that,
So my
Sure.
suggestion
Like-
would,
You're absolutely right, Siobhan.
yeah,
That should be the same as Facilities Committee.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it looks disrespectful in my eyes.
Yep.
And I know
Okay.
it probably wasn't meant that
Right.
way, but if they're not gonna list their members,
Right.
it should at least be the same as.
And like I said, we asked them quite a few times, so if they want to listen to them, they don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, I think it could be a little bigger, but the other ones are headings of the groups.
Should be the same as the other headings.
I think it should be listed as a heading.
Facilities, Board,
The
town
heading file.
administrator.
As long as it fits.
All right, so if we take a vote on it with the change,
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
any other discussion?
The only thing is,
It
I
may
don't-
not fit, that's the reason they may have put it there.
What?
well,
The council on aging may
design
not fit
will
with
look-
the bigger,
Yeah.
bigger
Oh, it
letter.
could be 2 lines.
Yeah, too big.
So it'll be aligned with town administrator and
Yeah.
Anita's name.
And it might have to be 2
Council on Aging Board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it might have to be.
Underneath, yeah.
So I don't know if after chair, do you alphabetize the names after that, or I don't know how it's, I don't know how it's I don't know how it's picked. It doesn't make any
No,
difference, but
no, it doesn't
it's
matter.
just both sides.
It might fit.
No, I'm just saying in regards to, we're past that.
Already passed.
Vice chair listed there too? No?
It was, I looked at the last sign, and it was not like
Oh,
that,
was it? Oh, I
so.
thought it
It was not alphabetized, or it was?
No, it wasn't chair, vice chair, clerk, then you'd go down to clerk and everything.
Right.
So I don't care, you got a
You want to
motion.
put your
Who
name on
does
the
the
last?
artwork on this?
My name would be.
John.
I don't care.
Well, the sign,
John?
the sign
It's the way that-
manufacturer,
The way to do that, so you don't have to make this a second line, right, is to, you move this up to be the same as this,
yeah,
right? Then you bring it in here a little bit, then you bring this one in here a little bit, rather than justifying it to the side, right?
Okay.
And so these are centered on the center of the document,
So do
and
you
you don't
want,
have to have 2 lines for Council on Aging.
do you want to see
Board.
those changes before we approve it?
And it would still be balanced.
Well,
Oh,
the
you just
reason,
want-
I don't know, I mean, it's before board and after committee is where
You need to-
he's making it line. So if he moves everything over, committee will be, that's the
Not
way he's
everything,
centering.
just these 2.
Oh, then, I think, then he falls, so all this stuff's
Then you don't
even.
worry about that, because the eye follows the fact that it's centered on the
I have
center
no
of the
problem
document.
if we let him do, I mean, do we need it? I mean, we can have him fix that and then look at it again?
Yeah, well, we,
This is not a time-sensitive
Right,
issue,
no.
right? This isn't being.
no, if the subcommittee wants to look at it, if everybody's okay with the spelling and the
Yeah.
format, and you want the subcommittee to work it out with John
They
on
can bring it here, or
Thursday,
you
oh, we'll just
Go
bring it
ahead.
back to the next meeting. We'll
we'll bring it back the next meeting.
So just have them do that one change.
Are you gonna start handcopying it?
20.
Sure,
So we'll
right.
we'll give you enough
but I'll
time.
start with the
So
board.
Pat, will you withdraw your motion? To now?
Yes, I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. All right, anything else on the senior center? All right, the police station, final closeout items. Tony, you have anything?
We've got some,
If Tony wasn't the same person, we could never have
I know,
this agenda
I
item
know.
on
That's
this
right.
meeting.
That's right.
you can still talk about it,
We
you
could
just
talk-
wouldn't get an update.
We could just badmouth you
Sorry.
because you weren't here.
You gotta call the other company, I know nothing about it.
Well, this is the,
Yes, we do have a couple of
Last
punch
month,
list
isn't it?
items that we're,
next month is the last.
Right.
Yeah.
we do have a couple of punch list items, screw heads that pop when the building gets acclimated. We're still chasing with the controls guy. The temperature in the interview room off the lobby is still trying to get the heating and cooling balanced in there because of the multi-zones that room seems to be picking up. And we've got some of the concrete sealant in the Sally Port, which is bubbling, and we've sent the vendor over to take a look at it. Same concrete vendor is doing the concrete at the senior center. He's been over to take a look at it. I don't have a report as to what the repair or the fix is, but any lingering issues over there are continually being addressed.
Do we have the final inspection for that building?
That I do not know.
We find
And as-bills need to be,
as-built?
As-bills were all submitted, everything was all in.
But there's something the building inspector needs before the as.
thought it was-
It's called a construction completion.
Construction completion affidavits are in.
I think that on the list, on our list of opened items.
It is.
That we're dealing, it says, I think it says as-built for the police station.
There was a discussion that last took place, and I'm sorry that Vinnie just left, as to who signs off first. Does the building inspector sign off for the planning board, or does the planning board sign off and then the building inspector issues the final certificate of occupancy?
My understanding from those meetings, those chair meetings, that the building inspector had to sign off first, if I remember
I don't
right.
remember that. I
And then
don't
the
think
planning
we would.
board signs the last, the site plan. We can't sign the site plan till the certificate of completion. Do you remember that, Linda? I can't remember which, I'm almost
What
positive
I
that's how it
recall
went.
is that there should be, the planning board should have the last say
Right.
before any permanent certificate of occupancy is provided.
So you need a certificate of completion first, and then you get the site plan, and then you get the certificate of occupancy.
And all of your site plan as-built have been submitted, but on the temporary occupancy permit, there are conditions to meet within the year
Okay.
to get the sign off, and one of those is approval and closeout of the planning board. So as that is part of your temporary C of O, that would lead me to believe in this particular town, you want your planning board approval, then your final C of O.
Can we send a letter to the planning board and ask them exactly how that works? And if they
Send
have,
it.
if they are all set with these as-built, if they already have them?
It's not been discussed yet. As-built, it's not been discussed yet.
Well, we've had them
I
for
think
a while.
as-built we submitted very recently, right, Tony?
No. They
That had
were
to be
sent
6 months.
8 months ago.
Oh,
All right.
I mean, I appreciate Tony working on this and still involved, but that heating issue with that room seems like, I mean, seems like they should be able to fix it it's never gonna get fixed. It's been an issue for, I'm not asking you, I guess I'm asking the town administrator maybe this has been, it doesn't seem like, we're not knocking down walls to fix this. This is just some type of, one thermostat's reading this room and making it too hot or too cold, and the other one in the hall is also reading that room.
Right,
It seems
you've
like-
got a room that's stuck between zones.
Right.
At the time, it's a small interview room that didn't maybe warrant having its own thermostat and its own control. So depending on, it feeds 2 spaces. One is the lobby, you enter from the lobby. The other is the open area near the kitchen. So imagine if those doors are open and you're getting cross ventilation from inside to outside, that room is never gonna be the right temperature unless you close the doors and
And then it'll be
determine,
perfect.
right, which one, and the police department has control of the temperatures. They can go onto the computer as well as anybody. However, your controls vendor is trying to establish seasonally, monthly, what the optimum temperature is for both areas adjacent to it so that the room stays somewhat temperate. I don't think you're ever gonna resolve that. It's gonna be doors open, doors closed. It's a hot day, it's 80 degrees in September, it's, 40 degrees in
It's on winter,
July.
yeah, that's,
So how do you, before the last year is up, how do they resolve that issue? Do they just come to agreement and say this is the best it's gonna be, or
Yeah, because it's not under a warranty. It's not that any one piece of equipment
failing?
is failing or not operating. It's adjustments. Okay, always leave the back door closed that goes out, so it's feeding more off the lobby. It's when you've got a room servicing 2 different areas, 2 different zones, and the doors are never open, never closed consistently, it's never gonna get to a normal temperature or a set point temperature.
so it wouldn't be an issue with
The
design
only other
either.
thing you would do is say, fine, we're gonna spend the $3,000 to add a new thermostat just for that room, keep the doors closed unless it's in use, somebody's going in or out, which when somebody's in there, it's an interview room. You're guessing that those doors are closed if somebody's in there, and the room's just gonna be set at 68 or 72 degrees, and that's where it's gonna stay at, but none of us thought at the time it warranted that expenditure for a room that's rarely in use.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
Any, has there been any issues with the elevator
No.
controls? So they fixed it, and that seems to be fixed?
Yeah,
That's good.
Okay.
and it's used on a daily basis, and it hasn't malfunctioned.
So it just really
in
was,
months.
it could have just been 2 consecutive
Couple of
faulty
bad
parts?
boards, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Full of invoices, Keola and Bennett Associates, 5847 for $7,140.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in
What
favor?
is that? I
Okay,
mean,
I'm
just,
sorry.
what's the
Their
thought?
monthly
Just their-
construction admin, submittals,
Yeah, somewhere.
field visits.
Right there.
Yeah, it shows construction admin at 36%.
Yeah, that's, so it's a percentage, okay.
It's divided by the amount of months. It's been a set amount, I think, each month.
Someone second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
REC Builders Incorporated for number 5 for $302,241.20. What would that bring us for percentage for them?
I believe that was about 35% back
35 or
at
36, I think.
the, that was the
36.
rec for the end of, through the end of August. So that was a few weeks back at this point.
You know,
Motion to accept.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Crawley International, excuse me, 22552 for $9,297.76.
Again, set amount each
Right.
month, divided by the number of months of construction.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Alliance, invoice number 599-25012 for $1,765.03. This is for the,
It's for the environmental dirty
yeah,
dirt
yeah.
review. Yep. Which we had additional testing done about 3 weeks ago, which came in. DEP has formally issued back that you can keep all the material on site, bury it under the parking lot, and you are good to go.
Good. We don't have to transport it off the property.
Nope.
All right,
So moved?
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Terracon, TA 73300 for $208, and invoice number TAG 7365 for $2,058.17. This is for testing also?
It was for the geotech out there during the excavation of the former leftover building material removal.
Can I ask a question?
We'll give that.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, go ahead.
Tony, I just realized that it's 63 cents. Who sets the mileage reimbursement? It's not a lot of money, I'm just, because the
That would
state
be
is
set
like
within their
54.
contract.
Oh, okay, because the state average is like 54, and this is 63, so I
Yeah, I
was
think
just,
the
54.5.
federal is
54.
54 and a half. and
yeah,
That's what they charge.
okay, just curious.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any other invoices that you don't have? No. Any other updates? Anybody want, anything else?
Do we have a number on, I know we just added another $2,000 to it, on the cost of this improper removal? Do you happen to have that number handy?
I'm up to about 80,000, and I'm waiting to finalize that. The area, so we have the pile of contaminated, they don't want to use the word contaminated.
Leftover building.
The unsuitable soil that's going to remain on site, we need to dig a hole in the parking lot area deeper than what we've currently dug to put that soil in the hole. So we're going to pull some out, and I'm hoping that we don't find any more.
But the unsuitable, oh, so when we dig that hole, there may be more
Is in the
building?
area of the old building.
Oh, no, you said the parking lot, you're gonna make that? So
while
they,
it's off to the side
if
of
it's
it.
parking lot, then it wouldn't,
Right.
there shouldn't be any building, because they didn't dig up the parking lot.
Hopefully there isn't.
It could be building from the
But
building before the mixed.
The unsuitable soils is, that's an aside, that's just, you're saying when you dig into the hole, you may find more building.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're
So-
digging another hole to put the other dirt in.
So what is cheaper, digging a hole and putting it, or removing the unsuitable soil?
Putting it in the hole on site, provided that there's not more there.
I don't
In
think we'll
which case,
find-
we're gonna put it on site.
I don't think we'll find building.
You don't
might
wanna
find
cut it
other
off.
contaminated soil.
Well, you
we
may
don't know.
find other building
it's a-
debris, but
Oh, parking lot, it's a parking lot, so you
Right.
could see, find something, but, well, we'll have to just move forward with
All
it.
right, anybody else have any other updates, or anything? All right, next meeting, the second Wednesday is what?
Second Wednesday of October
10th.
would be the 10th.
God, October?
7 o'clock?
Yep.
All right. A motion,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.